rental registry and are in serious violation of our building code. As such, we'll be announcing a number of actions we're taking today against several individual property owners, as well as separate legal action against the management company to shut these Flophouses down and bring them into compliance as single-family homes. In addition, we'll be talking about a separate home that we rated that's unrelated to this management company that has some particularly egregious violations. So before I get into the management company and some of those other issues, let me talk first about a home that we rated this week on 168 West Clarkstown Road in New City. So this week, Clarkstown Code Enforcement raided a second illegally converted flophouse within our borders. The home located on West Clarkstown Road is a single-family home that was illegally converted into an SRO multi-family domicile. The house featured approximately 25 people living inside a single-family home, including multiple beds in the attic space and in the basement. At least a portion of those in the home are in the country illegally and appear to be recent arrivals. A particular concern in this home is that there are people sleeping in the attic. The attic has only one form of egress and is accessed literally by crawling underneath the structural beam to gain access. In short, if a fire occurred in this home, people would have died. These dangerous conditions present the potential for our first responders to be injured or to be killed. This is completely unacceptable. We believe that this house had mixed occupancy, and at least a number of the people in that house were recent arrivals to the United States. I believe we have some pictures of that location. If we could actually take a look at the upper bedroom. This is up in the attic area, which was illegally converted, and as you take a look, you access that by a flight of stairs and then have to go through a crawl space to get into the sleeping quarters. How does a first responder get in there to rescue those people? And how do they get out? And how does a landlord allow that to happen? Those people would have died. We had 5 people die in Spring Valley in the fire earlier this year in an illegally converted house. We're not going to allow this to continue to happen in our town. We're going to slap these people back. This is completely unacceptable. 25 people living in this house, completely illegally converted. That house is owned by Zurich Spira of Spring Valley. Given the egregious nature of the illegal conversion and the other obvious risks to health and safety, we've authorized going to state Supreme Court to obtain a temporary restraining order to immediately vacate the home and restore it to a single-family residence. This home was brought to our attention by local residents. We were also contacted by the local fire department, which independently called our town fire inspector and the county to raise some concerns. Unfortunately, it took a little longer to get the search warrant than it should have from our local courts, but once we did, we took immediate action and were able to go in and execute a search warrant. And I'm grateful to the Clarkstown Police Department and our code enforcement officers and our building inspector for taking such swift action. We held an emergency town board meeting yesterday afternoon to authorize legal action in New York State Supreme Court to compel this house to be vacated at once. This house is the first on our list. Now let me speak about what we've learned from the investigation that started as a result of our raid last month on 295 New Hempstead Road, where we found 34 people, all recent arrivals to the United States, occupying that single-family home. Overall, at least 37 properties in Clarkstown and 339 properties in Rockland County are managed by the same management company that was managing the property at 295 New Hempstead Road that was connected to our raid. We've discovered a pattern involving a number of properties managed by First Choice Property Management that are systematically violating our rental registry laws, and we believe are also used as SROs and illegal multifamily conversions. These properties are scattered all around Clarkstown. In 3 instances, we spoke to owners of some of these properties, and they deferred to the property management company, with at least 2 of the owners stating that they had never, ever even been to the house. Let me repeat that. Property owners that bought property that claimed they had never been to the house, and that the property management company was responsible for all aspects with the house. And by the way, just as a refresher, with 295 New Hempstead Road, that's exactly what we were told by that property owner as well. That they don't go to the house, that that the property management company was responsible for all aspects of administration of the house. I want to stress this as well, though. Some of the properties, some of the 37 in Clarkstown are of concern. Not all of them. So about 20 of them appear to be in compliance at this point. And it took some doing to get the property management company to bring some of those into compliance. But we certainly have 17 that are of concern and that are in various stages of trying to be brought into compliance, or actually, frankly, refused to be brought into compliance. We've got 8 that are currently in court, and we have 6 more that we're moving forward in that process as well. And the process of gaining information from the management company has been uneven at best of late. Frankly, there was a pattern of them just ignoring summonses and ignoring violations dating back to the beginning of the year. The key to this for us was the raid on 295 New Hempstead Road, because based on that, we were able to string together the property and management records, and we were able to get a copy of the properties that they were managing dating back to as of April of this year. That's how we know there are 339 within the county that they manage. And so due to the slow compliance and concern of the pattern of illegal use, we're taking an unprecedented step today, going to the New York State Supreme Court to obtain an order to show cause to gain access to the properties that are of concern to us and to ensure that they are not illegally converted and to safeguard the residents and our first responders. In addition, we secured unanimous approval yesterday to hire outside counsel for the town of Clarkstown to commence civil legal action in New York State Supreme Court against First Choice SV Property Management Company, which is located in Muncie, New York. This is an unprecedented legal action which will seek to unearth the complex network that this company has created that is proliferating the illegal housing crisis here and endangering lives in Clarkstown and Rockland County. We will be seeking numerous avenues to redress that our town attorney will be available to answer questions on as well. These include, but are not limited to, monetary damages. All information we discover will be turned over for potential criminal prosecution. We'll also be pursuing these properties in justice court, and in fact, a number of them already are in justice court. These flophouses and illegally converted single-family homes will not be tolerated here in Clarkstown. We've announced an expansion of our code enforcement department, making Clarkstown the largest local code enforcement agency in Rockland County. The safety and security of our residents and our first responders is paramount to me. We continue to urge local residents to call. If you see something, say something. Stop in, send tips. You can go onto our 311 tip line, our 311 app, to report these things, even anonymously. These actions have been taken to allow tips to be confidential. And I'm grateful to all the people that did reach out to us and give us tips. There's some of these properties many of these have come from direct complaints from residents. We'll employ every avenue at our disposal and every legal mechanism possible and necessary to shut these properties down. Finally, we'll be referring all of these properties to the County Health Department, and I'm grateful for the partnership that we have with Rockland County Executive Head Clay, who's assisting us. Health code violations are a further avenue to pursue that will ensure compliance and will hopefully serve as a deterrent, given the additional penalties that they bring. We're also asking assistance from the state. We'll be calling upon the Attorney General and local law enforcement to assist us in this investigation. In addition, we're learning that there's really a lack of guidance and oversight on management companies and a lack of a legal framework that oversees them. And we really think that this is a hole in the law, and we're going to be asking our state representatives to sponsor legislation to strengthen oversight of management companies. I want to stress that while we're talking about First Choice Spring Valley here today, we've had other single-family homes in the town of Clarkstown that we've raided, that we've exercised search warrants on, that were under other property management companies. This seems to be a pattern, and since there's a lack of strong law in this area, property management companies seem to be able to get away with an awful lot. And to date, with very little oversight in legislation, this obviously needs to be addressed. Again, we're taking 3 actions here today. First, we're shutting down 168 West Clarkstown Road, which is not affiliated with that management company that has 25 people, including migrants in it. Second, we're bringing legal action against a number of properties that are managed by First Choice Spring Valley, of which we know that at least 3 of them have migrants and mixed-use occupancy. Many of them have been illegally converted from what we can tell. And third, as part of that, we're going to state Supreme Court to get an order to show cause to give us access into any of these properties from First that are managed by this management company, for us to gain access to ensure that they're safe and that they're only single-family homes. And then finally, we're taking separate legal action against the management company itself, pursuing a separate action in New York State Supreme Court. With that, I'd like to introduce a really great friend and good partner to the town of Clarkstown, who's leading the fight on the county level against illegal housing and the migrant crisis, Rockland County Executive Editor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge George Hoehmann, the work he's done here in dealing with what's becoming quickly an overwhelming scenario here in Rockland County and Clarkstown. I want to acknowledge our firefighters, our building and code enforcement, our building departments, our team at the county, our Rockland Codes Investigation Team. And that's something we put together and work in tandem with the local building departments. And you see what's coming from this. At the end of the day, we need action on this. And we are full into dealing with this issue, both the county and the town. But we need more. We need more investigative help. George mentioned our AG, Attorney General Trish James. She did respond back to communication we sent to her last time. She's aware of the problems at 295 New Hampshire Road. And now we're going to be asking her to throw some resources into this before this gets completely out of control. And by out of control, I mean, as George mentioned earlier, trying to get into a cubbyhole to save a child and dying because of it. We've had this here already. Jared Lloyd is not far from our minds right now. So we have to make sure we get all the help we can get in order to make sure we stop this in cold immediately. So with that, again, I want to acknowledge all the first responders who were involved in helping with this. And I want to also introduce County Legislator Jim Foley, who's been on the forefront of this fight since it first started. Jim?
Okay. Thank you. I want to start by reiterating that we really want the public to call these in. We have a lot of eyes out there, but with the public's help, we better able to shut these down. I want to say the Rockland County Code Enforcement has been doing a great job, and as always, we stand here with a lot of respect for how well Clarkstown does a job of finding these things and sorting it out in court. The only thing I'll say personally is that, like last time we stood here, it's only by a miracle that this isn't a press conference about dead people. That this fire trap, or these fire traps, are horrible, and I do believe there's a lot more out there, and hopefully we have more successful operations, if you want to say like this, than the next time we're here and we're talking about deceased children. Okay, thank you.
And let me just add a couple of very, very brief concluding remarks, and we'll open it up to questions. You know, I take this personal, not just because obviously we lost Jared Lloyd, and we saw, you know, what the actions or the negligence of what somebody can do and what the result of that can be. Earlier this year, we had 5 recent immigrants to the United States. They came there with dreams, hopes, and aspirations. And they were killed in a house fire in an illegally converted piece of property. And that property owner, thanks to County Executive Ed Day and the Rockland County Codes Initiative, that property owner owned other properties and has gone after those properties. We can't allow people to profiteer, and to profiteer on the weakness of people that are coming here looking to pursue a dream, whether it's legally or not. Once they're here, what we're finding is they don't have a way to support themselves. Yesterday, we had a call into the Clarkstown Police Department with 3 women selling gum and harassing people with babies tied with sheets around their backs in one of our parking lots here at Marshall's in Miami West. That's how they're sustaining themselves, buying, getting gum and trying to panhandle. That's a reduction of the quality of life. Within the last 2 weeks, I've had conversations with multiple school superintendents that cover the town of Clarkstown. We have 4 districts in our town. The sheer number of people that are coming in with no English skills or English, very poor English skills that are obviously recent immigrants to the United States is shocking. And we're gonna have to pay the price on this with school budgets in the next year. The numbers of staff that have to go up as it relates to that. And it's shocking, but the New York State Education Commissioner in August, along with the support of the state government, issued a directive to all school districts that they must admit new arrivals without any paperwork, without any vaccine information or anything. That's as of August. So the school districts normally would have the opportunity to have their own investigators look into some of these cases and try and ascertain that people are in safe living conditions. That order by the state has done nothing but help promote people that are looking to profiteer off of these folks that are coming into our country illegally. It's made it easier for them to buy a single-family house, illegally converted, and load it up with all types of people, recent immigrants and people that have been here, for a little bit longer. And we've seen that in a number of these houses. This is completely unacceptable. We're not going to allow it here in Clarkstown. We're going to continue to fight as hard as we can. And thanks to the county's assistance, we're going to refer these cases over, and we're going to make an example of anybody that tries to do this here. But we're just one town. This is happening in every single suburban town that you can think of. And people are going to be shocked as they start to look at their school budgets next year, as they have to look at all the additional costs based on these new arrivals and people that are living in very substandard conditions. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that there's not another Jared Lloyd here in Clarkstown. That's my pledge as Clarkstown Supervisor. We're going to make sure that our first responders are safe and that people know that if they live in a single-family neighborhood, that it's going to remain a single-family neighborhood, despite people that are looking to profiteer, like First Choice Property Management, and like some of these property owners that obviously don't care enough to even go to their residence, their property. They bought it and they're renting it out, and it's been illegally converted. On average, all these houses that we're looking at, these 17, they're double digits or more in terms of the people that are living there, and many of them have migrants that are in there. This is a crisis. And we're going to try to address it here in Clarkstown. But out of that 339 on this one company, only 37 of them in our town. It means there's over 300 across Rockland County. We don't know how many of them are illegally converted in other places, but we're sharing that list with all the other towns. We're sharing it with the county. And any one of the properties that we find issues with within our town, we're going to make sure that they're going to be held to the fullest extent of the law. Maximum fines. We're going to make an example of anybody that's looking to profiteer in this manner and put people's lives at risk. So with that, I'm happy to take questions, as is the county exec or anyone else.
Supervisor Hoehmann, you mentioned 17 of those properties have concerns. What kind of concerns? What are we seeing? What are those concerns?
So we've had some complaints about a number of them. Without being able to get into the property, to be able to do a full inspection, we don't know how many people are actually living there. A number of them have the telltale signs of additional vehicles, people coming and going at different hours of the night. And it's been difficult working with the management company on all of those properties, and it's time consuming. I mentioned that on the one house that was unrelated to the management company that we executed a search warrant on. We were delayed by the local judge for almost 2 weeks, and we had to continually go back and get information. And we finally were able to get the search warrant, but it was 2 weeks where people we thought were at risk. And during that point in time, we had phone calls that came in from the Hillcrest Fire Department, from the New City Fire Department, I believe, as well, that had some concerns, because this is a house that's right on the edge of both of those fire districts. So that's the concern. We're not able to get into some of these houses. It takes time to build a case. In order to get an administrative search warrant, you have to have probable cause. To have probable cause, we have to build a case. Observations from our building and code enforcement officers, complaints, affidavits that are sworn. We have to go talk to people, the neighbors, what they're saying and coming and going, and things of that nature that lead us to believe that the house is being used inappropriately. Then we can get a search warrant. We're trying to go beyond all that now, and we're going to go directly to the state Supreme Court and say, here's a pattern, Judge, and it's clear to us and it's clear to everybody that's involved with this. There's an ongoing pattern of violation of our building and zoning codes. Give us access to all these homes immediately. We have to prevent a crisis. We have to prevent a crime.
Okay.
You mentioned the new arrivals. Is there a way to quantify how much this has been exacerbated by the migrant crisis? I mean, flop houses and illegal housing has been around. It's not a new issue in suburbia. How much worse is it now, in your opinion?
So from what we've been instructed and informed from our code enforcement staff as people are going to a number of these houses, there are new arrivals in virtually each and every one of them. We just don't know how many until we get in to inspect them. Even in this house at 168 West Clarkstown Road, there were several new arrivals out of that group. We don't know exactly how many. We'll ascertain that as the investigation continues. But it's certainly a much larger percentage and proportion. In 168 West Clarkstown Road, I think in 2 portions of the 4 portions of the house, it appeared to be new arrivals, a month or less in the United States. We had another property over in Valley Cottage, seemed to be similar. Probably half the people in the house were new arrivals that have been here since the middle of the summer or less. So it's absolutely stepped it up with the migrant crisis. We're seeing them in virtually all of these houses.
And George, the inventory that we got from April, the 339 or whatever the number was, homes, where did you get that?
So inadvertently, we were able to get it from somebody connected to the management company, and we were able to piece some additional portions of that together, and also from just additional statements. We're also finding out there are some homes that are not on that list that we've had separate legal actions on. We have a different house in Nanuet that we executed a search warrant on that's currently in justice court, and we're trying to get it vacated. And now we're having a lawyer that's contacting us who's saying the first choice is the management company there, which we didn't know. So as to the best of our ability, we've been able to get this from several different sources. And it's a fairly comprehensive list of 339 properties all around Rockland County.
They're all in Rockland County.
Yeah.
The ones that are not in Clarkstown, where are they?
All the other 4 towns. There's a bunch in Ramapo and Spring Valley. There's a number in Orangetown. There's a number in Stony Point, Haverstraw. It's a very comprehensive list. I was surprised that only 37 were in Clarkstown when you think of the numbers. But there's a large number in Spring Valley, a large number in Ramapo. There's a fair number in Orangetown, Haverstraw, and Stony Point. There's no town that is exempt from this list. Now, again, I want to stress, out of the 37 houses in Clarkstown, there's about 20 that have come into compliance. It took them a long time to come into compliance. So there's about 20 that have come into compliance, but we want to make sure. And we want to check all 37 to make sure that they're all in compliance. And that's part of us going to state Supreme Court, because literally this is a pattern. This is a management company that, and again, we've got 3 owners that are telling us, I know nothing about the house, the management company handles it. And again, these are houses that are all violating our building and zoning codes, health and safety violations, health code violations, and very few of them were on our actual rental registry. And then the thing that was frustrating about it as well is when we started this process with identifying some of these properties and then saying, oh, this is first choice, they're connected here, and it became like a web, if you will, of properties, they wouldn't apply for the rental registry. We had to then say, oh, we know that you're managing this house, you've got to apply for this house. And so finally, I don't think they've even applied for all the houses yet, but we were able to get them to get most of them, inspected and, at least known to us in the rental registry. A good number of them we haven't been in. We don't know what we're going to find when we actually get in there. And that's a concern because, these are properties that, from what we're seeing, just like the situation with that attic. Could you imagine? I mean, you go up a flight of stairs and then you've got to crawl through a space to get into a place where you can't even fully stand up, and that's where people are living. In that same, in a different house, we've got, folks that are literally a family of 4 in a 1-bedroom, 10 by 10 bedroom. What kind of quality of life is that for those kids?
Question for Ed. If this is being done in Clarkstown and they're going to court to try to get access to these 17 properties that are in question, and there are, do the math, 320 plus elsewhere, why can't the county go to court and do the same thing and ask for the same access in properties that are managed by the same?
When appropriate and necessary, we do. But again, what we've done with the Rockland Codes Initiative, that was never in place before this administration took over. It was always a up to the local municipality, and unfortunately, the judges really didn't take it very seriously. That was one of the major complaints we've always had about that. Right, what we have now, the situation we have now is we have all 5 towns plus villages are working hand in glove with the county, and we are sharing information. If the information is such that we have building code violations, that would come under the oversight of the building department. They would call us if there's sanitary code violations. We'd have send a team to go out there and kind of double down. And we're doing that right now. The information that was gleaned from these investigations, we've already shipped up to the AG. And she's aware of it, and which it was hard to hear that. And we'll be asking her again now, maybe you can get us resources to help our law enforcement personnel, building and codes personnel, and Rockland County initiative to get the bottom.
The last time we were here, there were concerns of alleged human trafficking possibly being a larger story here. Where does that stand now with what's going on? There was the allegations of possibly larger human trafficking. That role, if anyone wants to, because that was something we had spoken about it.
Yeah, you know, look, it's no secret this is going on. We were aware of this from day one. When people were coming up here, we call it organic migration. People who knew people here, friends. It was something we were able to handle to some degree. It was asked earlier, how do we know how many we have now? What's going on now is out of control. We have people who are out in the streets talking to people, finding out what's going on, how many people are coming in. It's anecdotal to a great degree, but you ask any firefighter, any building and codes official, what do you see now as compared to 6 months ago? It's night and day. So when it comes to human trafficking, let's understand something. We are not involved in human trafficking. It's been foisted upon us by failed policies at the national level and with no help from places such as New York City, who instead of owning up to their situation by law, which Tom Zuckerby just yesterday found New York City to be was wrong from what they were doing, and he ruled in favor of Rockland County and Orangetown. This has got to stop. And having Mayor Adams go to the Mexico border and somehow telling people to turn around and go home, how much more ludicrous are we going to get here? We have a problem here, and we have to have orderly immigration, and nothing has yet been done to deal with that. You don't solve a crisis that's emanating from someplace else by nibbling at the edges, and that's what's going on here. We're being stuck with what's happening, and I think one point that Supervisor brought up, extremely important, school systems. They are going to be overloaded beyond belief. The same reasons that we have an education commission who just thinks, oh, put the kids in school. Doesn't really matter if you have teachers or anything, or seats. We have heard stories of kids who can't speak English. They're sitting in AP classes, just keeping a seat warm. This has got to stop. And we can address it here, but it's an awful lot of work. It's going to include an awful lot of danger to both residents and to firefighters and everybody else who's trying to help out. But it has to be handled at the core, and that's what's not happening here. I wish to God the President of the United States and our federal officials would wake up and understand. Give us a good immigration policy. We will be fine with that. We all came from other places, but don't let this continue. You're killing us out here, and this is where the fault lies at this point. So we'll do what we can do, obviously within the limits of what we can do as a local municipality, but we'll continue to do it, and we'll work hard to stop it.
Okay.
And Diane, just to follow up on what the county executive said. So whether it's human trafficking or how are these
The
people
root
getting
cause here, is this what you believe?
The concern is that people are coming here, and some of these folks, like literally as we're going to some of these houses, or our police, now are in the habit of getting lots of calls. The number of calls that our police are addressing for DWIs with recent arrivals that have no license, no paperwork or anything. Women and men panhandling or selling gum or candy in markets. I had a lady call my office yesterday. She called the Clarkstown Police Department. She parked over in front of Marshall's and Nanuet, and from walking from her car in the middle of the parking lot, she was accosted by 2 women with babies, separately. So there are 2 people separately trying to sell gum in the parking lot, and then a person outside the store, and then there was a row of about 10 men that were kind of sitting near the edge and asking people for work in very poor English. And These obviously are all recent arrivals, because when we send the police out, the police are now asking, we've got a number of bilingual police officers. So these people are getting here rather quickly. A number of them, as the police encounter them, they're asking questions. How did you get here? When did you get here? And very often we're finding in the police encounters and in the building department encounters that these folks are here within weeks of crossing the border. So somebody's obviously getting them up here to Rockland County. And they're ending up in houses like the ones that we're seeing where they're being put in there. And then what are they doing? So they're trying to work this way. My fear is that they're being taken advantage of, and that they're being forced into domestic service at below market rates for people that are looking to profiteer off of it. And, you know, frankly, these people are having to pay something, and it seems to be cash that's coming across, you know, in a lot of these houses. It's very lucrative. You buy a single family house for $400,000. You are legally converted. You put 20 people into it, and your monthly rental roll is somewhere north of $20,000. Do the math. You pay that house off in 2 or 3 years. You're on to the next one. You're on to the next one. You're on to the next one. And all the while, people are living in substandard conditions, and our police and our first responders, our EMS, we've seen a spike in calls of people with health issues we're seeing across the board. Every single system is being stressed. Nobody's talking about this. No, like, we're talking about the migrant crisis, and you know, it's great. All the media goes down and they look at the border. Oh, isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? Here's the migrant crisis right here in Rockland County. And we're not different from anywhere else in the country. We're going to see it in the schools. We're seeing it with our local police. We're seeing it with our health care. And we're seeing it now with housing as well. And there are people that are profiteering at every level off of that. So you want to talk about human trafficking? That's my version of what human trafficking is. They're playing on people's hopes and dreams, and they're giving them substandard living conditions, and they're profiting from it. And we're not going to allow it here.
I just want to add one thing. Back in early March, myself and Congressman Lawler had a press conference. You remember that?
I was there.
Everything we said back then has come to fruition. And many people didn't want to believe us. We talked about the schools being overrun. We talked about booming use of pantries, running out of food, housing crisis being quadrupled, and then some. All these things, the impact upon people who are looking for the American dream. My God, we're not giving them the American dream. We're sending them to slits, potential servitude, or worse. That's what's happening at this point. And as far as what's going on here, I think George's numbers were compelling at this point. The fact of the matter is that we have all the earmarks of a criminal enterprise. If anybody in this room believes that all these people, we don't know anything about this, that's a management company. How many times have you heard that, George? How many times have we heard this already? We don't have nothing to do with it, it's a management company. Come on, wake up, people. This is why I'm insisting, and I'm asking, well, it'd be nice, I'm asking with some firm ardor to the AG. Help us. We've already told you how bad it's going to get from the beginning of March. It's getting worse. We need all the resources possible to make the cost of doing business impossible for these people who are just doing nothing but destroying the potential for these poor people who come to this country.
But Ed, expand on that, the criminal enterprise. Do you believe this is an organized criminal enterprise that's going on here, or separate property companies profiteering? What is
Based
that?
on my 25 years of law enforcement experience, I don't see how this could not be a criminal enterprise. There's too much money involved. Follow the money. These folks aren't just, every time we see people are here for like a week, and then they're gone. They're transported somewhere. Who transports them? Who's running the show? This is just not a coincidence. So yeah, that's my feeling is yes, this is absolutely, in my view, my opinion, which I'm entitled to have, a criminal enterprise that's growing by the day, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse unless somebody help. We'll do what we can do here.
Is it organized, or is it just in your mind? Is it organized, or is it just that these individual management companies are
I think it's pretty obvious. The most is certainly some organization to this, but what's the difference whether it's organized or not? I think it is, personally, but we need help down here. And you have tremendously committed individuals here in county and town governments who are working very hard to make the best of what's being dumped on us. And what's being dumped on us, so we're clear about this, is a policy of the federal government. That's what's being dumped on. And the expected situation is going to Thank you.
Do we know where those people who were living at 295 Hempstead are now?
Many of them moved out as soon as we did the raid,
Yeah.
which leads us to believe it was like I was forwarding addresses. I suspect maybe they ended up in some of these other 37 houses within the town, or the other 302 that would be across the rest of the county by this management company. And by the way, that's 339 that we believe we've been able to piece together from lists from some of our pulling together investigation. It could be more, and again, we're not even saying out of the 37 in Clarkstown that every single one of them is not in compliance. We don't know, frankly. We know that 20 of them are now registered with the rental registry. Almost none of them were at the start of the year. And it was like pulling teeth to get them to even register. And so with registering, it enables us to be able to go in. Many of these we haven't been able to get into and inspect. And there's been some roadblocks. So we'll find out. This will be a developing story. But this is just one of several management companies and private owners as well. But I do want to wrap it up because I know a lot of people